Rodney James here for MMASoldier.net, here with the chosen one, the champ. Well, you're still a champ.
Yeah.
Tyron Woodley.
How you doing, my man?
How you doing, my friend?
Thought I was going to leave you hanging, didn't you?
Yeah, you almost kind of did there. I was like, what the hell's
Gotcha.
going on there, man? So listen, we've had this conversation offline before, but I want to have it now. A couple years ago, I think it was probably like 2015 or something like this, because you were a lot more active on Twitter and social media. You get, for some reason, people just love to bully you. You get a lot of hate on there, man. And you said this epic tweet one time. You said, look, you know what? I bet none of y'all haters or journalists or any of y'all that think you want to tell me how to do my job would ever go through a 10-week fight camp and get into a cage fight. And so I said, you know what? I'm not one of those trolls or the media donks. But I said, he's right. He's right. Because you can't sit here and say you know what it's like to go through a weight cut or go through a 10-week fight camp and be in there with them killers and then get in there and make that walk and actually fight. Yeah. And I did, as I was inspired by you.
There we go.
And I got my win, and then I chased the dragon. So I had to go fight a few more times.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So anyway, first time I met your boy and your coach, Dean Thomas. He's now a good buddy of mine. We talked about that, and he said he was going to tell you, and of course he never did. So I had to tell you myself.
So beat him up.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Your next opponent.
All right, man. So look, I was pretty bummed out to see the rematch with you and Robbie fell apart. What exactly happened? I haven't really been keeping up with the other MMA outlets.
You know, I was just in a position where I wanted to fight for the title so bad. You know, I wanted to get back in there, and that was the quickest way for me to go on there. So, fight-wise, you know, I already did what I needed to do against Robbie. And then I started doing the training camp, and I was going through the motions, and my hand just was never the same. And I was like, you know, I got to be real with myself. So I'm trying to grab, grip, plant, post, and just the grip and flexibility wasn't there. And I said, you know, I've never put out a fight my entire career, since 2005. And I had to do what was right for my career. You know, I can't go out there and not be 100% against a guy like Robbie. A guy like Robbie, had I had that performance against him, I would have been knocked out. You know, and, I just got to be real with myself and go back in there when I'm 100%, and I'm working towards that right now.
I'm sorry. Was it because I knew you had shoulder surgery years ago?
I had a lot of surgery. I had a foot surgery after Gastelum, hand surgery after Till, shoulder surgery after Maya, and some rehab, and I came back and won titles after all those fights. So your luck only runs so long. Yeah.
So right now you're gonna heal up, no surgery required this time.
Not this time. I already had the surgery, and then I'm just healing up and trying to make sure I get the strength and range of motion. I had to kind of cut some of the rehab off for the last training camp because then I had to jump right into training camp. So a lot of rehab just kind of really stopped.
So big fight week, obviously international fight week's always huge. We got the two title fights. One of your teammates, obviously one of the greatest fighters of all time, the champ in the female side, the only female champ. She's fighting. So what are your thoughts on that fight, and what other fights are you looking forward to?
You know, I like Holly Holm. I like Amanda Nunes. You know, I'm always diehard Amanda Nunes, so it's very tough for me to watch somebody I like as well fight her. But they're both GOATs. They're both champions. You know, Holly Holmes had a crazy career before this, as being a champion in kickboxing and boxing. So for her to continue to bounce back after winning against Ronda, having that stardom, losing against Misha after she was winning the fight, then fighting Jermaine, then fighting Cyborg, and now she's back in the title picture. The persistence is dope, but we're talking about Amanda Nunes, man. She may be the best female fighter that's ever fought in the octagon. She's just so aggressive. Her timing is so crazy, her ability to counter, and she's just ornery. When she see it's time to get you out of there, there's no female fighter that'll do a better job at it. So, you know, I'm just going to kind of sit back and enjoy the fight.
Yeah, it's a good matchup. So your good buddy is fighting, Ben Askren. Obviously, y'all aren't fighting on the same card, so no co-open workout today. I noticed you weren't around, but George Masvidal is from your team also. Mm-hmm. How close are you with him? Is that a weird one for you, or?
It's not as weird because
I mean it's the business.
Yeah, it's the business, and that's why it's not as weird. But you know, I like to see George succeed. I like to see him win. I like to see him go out there and become victorious. You know, we talk occasionally, but I really, to be honest, I don't just sit there and talk to a lot of people in general. I'm busy moving around too much. But Askren is obviously actual friend of mine, so he's helped me for a lot of fights. I've helped him for his last fight, when the first time I was able to help him for a change. Wrestled together for years, so of course I'm gonna be rooting for him to get the job done, but it's all kind of weird, you know what I mean? And then both of those guys could be inching towards the title shot, and that's where I'm trying to go. So I'm watching it. I'm obviously going to root for Ben, but I'm not going to root against Masvidal. He's a good dude, hard fighter, probably the best boxing that we've ever had in the welterweight division. Super fast hands, crazy kicks, crazy defense. So I'm a fan of his as well, and that's another one of those fights where I'm just going to watch and be a spectator.
He's been a big proponent for a potential 165 division. I was really glad to see both of y'all when you did your media day the last time in the scrum. Y'all talked about, well, he talked about it mostly, but do away with 170, get 165 and 75. I think will prevent a lot of these logjam situations. What are your thoughts?
It'll be a lot more activity, a lot more guys that are tweeners that can't make 55 or moved up from 55. Looking at guys like Kevin Lee, looking at RDA, looking at Masvidal, Cerrone. These guys couldn't do it anymore, and these are some of the top guys. So I think it's showing that when you're competing happy, you're competing without all that drastic cut, some of these guys are performing better. I think you might see the same thing if I jumped up to 175 or Darren Till jumped up to 75 or Robbie Lawler, some of these other guys that are the bigger side of the welterweights that are cutting a lot of weight.
Yeah, because some of those guys are, formerly 85ers or probably should be 85ers, but, there's a height difference and all that. Man, I think for you making 170 flawlessly every time, I don't see how you do it because I feel like you are a 175 guy. Yeah. You look pretty gaunt on scale.
I'm just disciplined, man, and I just don't think missing weight is an option. And if you really think about it, I'm not a small. I walk around every bit of 200 pounds, so I'm not a small welterweight. I don't carry a ton of fat on me, so it's a challenge making it. But at the end of the day, it just gives me one more chip on my shoulder when I walk in the octagon that I pushed through, that I ran when I didn't feel like it, that I cut, and I made the weight. So it's like one check mark over the week. This, check mark of the week. The press conference, check mark of the week. Now it's time for the weigh-in. Boom, another check mark. Before I know it, it's fight day, and I'm gonna get nervous now. I'm about to fight today, so I like those little things in between because it keeps it interesting during the week.
Yeah. Well, Tyron, I got one thing before we get out of here. You mentioned about how busy you are, and I want to say that I noticed you are up to a lot. I'm very proud of you for being able to transcend just your status in MMA into mainstream. With the NWA movie, which was fantastic. I was so. A lot of my friends that are not MMA fans, I'm like, you don't know who this is. This is the champion right here, man. And it was a big deal, And I think that's awesome. What else do you have going on? What do you have lined up? Anything as far as music or
definitely.
You still working with TMZ?
Yeah, I still got my show on TMZ. We're pitching that show right now. I got a lot of music that's coming out. I'm doing a lot of visuals and music for my album, Chaos Series, that's out right now. Make sure I grab that. And then I got another album after. EP is like a shorter album, so it's anywhere between 5 to 10 tracks. So I have an EP that's coming out end of July, beginning of August, and then by the end of the year I have another album.
I never thought about this. What is it under your name or is it under T Wood?
Just T Woodley.
T Woodley.
Just like my Instagram handle. Make it easy.
Gotcha. All right, that's the chosen one, everybody. Tyron Woodley. I'm Rodney James for MMASoldier.net. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, my man.
All right, have a good night.